What's up, everybody? It's Brandon from Box Office Banner and Cult Flick Symposium. I'm back from vacation. I'm finally here to talk to you about the new Strangers movie that apparently is the worst movie in history. No, but if you look at on different threads and different Facebook groups, I've seen just horror fans just loathe this movie. It's the worst horror movie ever, isn't it, Brandon? What? We go a little too far as horror movie fans, right? It's like once that ball starts rolling, not stops rolling because it hasn't, it just keeps going. And I'm here to tell you, you may be right because you know what? Why wouldn't you be right? It's your opinion. But I'm here to tell you objectively, though, I don't think this movie is near as bad as what most of y'all are saying. I even made one of the the community posts on Facebook, or not Facebook, YouTube, on this channel about it, how I just completely disagree. In saying that, though, does this movie have its fucking problems? Yes, for sure. And I can understand how somebody could hate it just out of maybe sheer frustration because they're, covering too many tracks they already have before. I get that. But I'm here to tell you, while I agree with a lot of these gripes, that doesn't make it a shit fest. It doesn't make it a terrible movie. For me, it's what kept it from being great. But was it good? Yes, I think this was a good horror movie. I've seen some bad horror movies, people. I definitely don't think this is one of them. I get it a little bit because it's a retready. I get it. But hear me out here. Okay? Retread, indeed. But I think if you're going to do a Strangers movie, like chapter 1, like the beginning, it needs to touch a little bit back into the roots of what the first one was. I love Strangers Prey at Night, and if anything, this might boost Prey at Night up a little more because it was a little bit of the same, but it took it to a trailer park. It was a little more out in the open, but they were able to keep that same contained feeling like you got in the first one of the cabin because you were trapped inside of this trailer park, but you weren't condemned to just being in the fucking trailer. Okay? That's what was cool about Prey at Night. This one takes you back to just goddamn, they might be out of the cabin a little bit, but it feels like they're kind of tied more to the central location of the cabin. So that alone is going to, garner a lot of comparisons to the original, which it should be at least close to it. It's in the same franchise, right? But where the movie messed up, for sure, they did a little bit of too many, you could call it homages and nods, things like that, like nods to the original, where it, sometimes you see these things and it's hard to fucking quantify. You'll see them and you're like, oh, just like in the first one. This one admittedly had few too many moments where it was just like in the first one, maybe where you were waiting for it, where you can kind of almost see it coming, which can be a bit annoying. But again, this is why I don't think it's a great horror movie, but I also don't think it's bad because the things around it weren't so bad. But watching the movie, there was definitely elements of times where I was like, dude, they're going to do this like they did in the first one. And then it happens. It's like, oh, yeah, I've seen this before, and it was done better. I get that. And again, that is why it's not great. But I'm here to tell you, despite them doing that, it still built tension. It wasn't terrible. I'm watching this movie, and I'm feeling the feelings of watching a home invasion movie. Those movies always touch close to home because I think everybody's kind of fantasized, whether it's them taking control of the situation or just what if a motherfucking stranger, not the strangers from this movie, but a stranger came into my house. Am I ready for that shit? You're making a fucking grilled cheese drunk at 3 a.m., thinking about this crazy shit. Well, if you're drunk at 3 a.m. making a grilled cheese, then you're like, I'm ready to go, right? You have your gun. But there's these thoughts we have. So this type of situational touches close to home. And I think this movie does a good job of, building it up. I think this movie does a good job with its lead characters. So many horror movies have bad actors. The guy in the movie, the husband or the boyfriend, I should say, is solid. I like him. The girl in the movie, I think she's great as a scream queen. I believe her anguish. I believe her pain. I believe her scarcities. Is that how you use that word? What the fuck? I believe she's scared as shit, people. I really do. The strangers in general. Do they do anything magical? No, not really. Damian Maffey for the win, right? You know, Pray at Night. Gotta shout out my dude. Better man and mask killer. He's the best. Fuck you, Kip Weeks. No, I really don't have a problem with you. I've heard bad things, but I don't know you, so I'm not. I'm gonna rewind that back. Sorry, I got lost in the moment. But these guys, you know, or guy and gals, are fine. They're not like, you know, it's people act like it's easy to just be like, you wear a mask and you get scary. It's not. But it's also kind of hard to fuck up completely. And they didn't do that. And they were fine. You know, they had their little moments. It didn't make them stand out, but it's like, okay, yeah, sure. I'm buying these people as the masked monsters. Good. Again, no problem there. I'll circle around to something else that bothered me, that I guess is bothering other people more. I did feel, and we saw this in other movies, but in the other movies, we would see the strangers kind of like creep out of the darkness, almost like toying with their victims. You know, like when you kind of feel something there and you turn around and you're like, oh, my mind must be messing with me. But now the hairs are raising up because you're starting to fuck with your brain. Like, is this too much for coincidence? The strangers love to do that. We know that from the other two movies. But it felt more organic in the way where they'd be in the background, then you'd see what, like, the person's seeing, and then it cut back to the background, they're gone, and you're like, oh, fuck, dude, they were just right. Why didn't they just kill? Because they're fucking with their prey. Pray at night, people, right? It's the name of the second one, but that's what they're doing, and it's essentially their prey. They gives no fucks. They want you to be scared. They don't want to just kill you. They want you to be scared. This one tries to do the same thing, but admittedly so, it felt not as organic. It felt more like, okay, but how did you sneak into there and get out of that spot and then act like you're here? Not act like, literally be there, and then we're supposed to act like you just were able to get away. Like, you know, maybe one or two things. There's too many things in this movie. It was just like, okay, like, what, are they supernatural? Are they ghosts at this point? And then there's also the element of a certain direction that we don't know for sure, I guess, but we're worried that they're pushing it. And overall, I got to say, at the end of this movie, I'm going to give this movie credit here. I'm not going to spoil anything. It's not a spoiler review. But at the end of this movie, I was watching it play out, and I'm like, okay, here we go with this again. We're just going to do this. This could get really stale. This could get really old. And this one did a little something different. And in doing something different, I was like, okay, maybe this could warrant sequels now that we are actually maybe building upon something different within this franchise that we have not seen yet. It won't be as redundant. Do we need sequels? No, I'm not even saying that. But if we're going to get them, we should at least, you know, do something like what they do in the movie where I'm like, okay, all right, yeah, I mean, I'll check this out. And that is what I left the movie with. I left with a lot of, like, okay, you did everything you're supposed to do pretty fucking well. Not necessarily great, although I think the lead girl, the main actress, I thought she was great. I really do. I think she's great in the movie. And everything else is fucking across the board, like, above average in horror fare. And then you come back to, like, the couple gripes, like, the strangers now seem like they can just teleport. But minor gripe. I'm not fucking, it's not full on, people. If you haven't seen the movie, it's not ridiculous. It's not, like, cartoonish. It just is a little bit more of these movies feel grounded in reality. So, you know, you pick up on things a little more like that where you're like, really? Okay, is he just gone? So don't worry about that if you haven't seen it yet. It's not cartoonish, but it's also enough in a serious movie where you're, like, locked in and you're taking it as serious. You're like, really? He could just do that? It's more of that kind of thing. So that's, like, small gripe. And then you have the, you know, the little nods to the original that feel more like, you know, be more original. But they ruin the movie, guys. This is what I'm getting at here. No, not at fucking all. At least on my end. I get it. Not everybody's going to like this, and I have movies like this, admittedly. I really do, where something like that might not tank a movie for other people, but for whatever reason, maybe the franchise is sacred to me, or maybe for whatever reason I had a bad day that day and I just never recover with this movie, or said movie, insert movie here. But I've had movies like that where I'm like, yeah, but this just pisses me off too much. I just can't get over it. So I get it. Some people are going to have that. But I feel like the snowball effect here with this movie where everybody's hating this movie. Like, what? It's like a 14% on Rotten Tomatoes right now. Get the fuck out of here. No, I got to make a stand here. I got to draw a line in the sand and say that this movie isn't fucking great. I think it actually would be pretty fucking dope if you hadn't seen the other ones, because, you know, there wouldn't be those borrowing moments and you're just like, this is just a really good scary home invasion movie. And then also, last but not least, guys, like, they're trying to, like, go back. You know, how long has it been since the original Strangers? What was it, like 2008? It's been like 16 years. Prey at Night does the same thing, but gives it a little more flavor by opening it up to the whole fucking trailer park. You know, kudos to that, but it's something different. This one's trying to go back to that original vibe. And maybe they were trying to borrow just a few things to even bring it more back to the original, and it kind of backfired. Okay, that's fine. But it did capture the original vibe again, and now we can build from here. And I think it was the proper choice to do that, to start this new trilogy. So overall, guys, despite me having qualms too, it did not bury the movie. It made it not great, but now it's just really good. It's a 7.5 out of 10 to me. And honestly, I might have been like a 7.2, but every once in a while, like, certain takes, like, they don't piss you off because, like, everybody's got opinions, but they're so, like, flabbergasting. You know, you're just fucking, man, I don't throw the word around lightly, but you're just flabbergasted, bro. You're looking at, you're like, to this degree, though? Did y'all watch the same movie I did? Where you're like, you know what? Give that bitch 0.3 more points. It's not a 7.2, it's a 7.5. Can't give it great. But I'm starting to like this movie. The more I'm hearing people hate on it, because you almost cling to it more, because you're like, what? What would you say? It was like a 0 out of 10 to you? Okay. Oh, that man's crazy. Oh, what? Let me look on Rotten Tomatoes. 14%. What? Come here, dude. Damn, nobody loves you. Come over here, baby. Like, it turns into that kind of thing. So I guess maybe 7.2 is the real rating, but 7.5. Nowhere near my favorite of the year, but I think a lot of people are crazy right now, but it's okay. That's my opinion, just like you have yours. And I'm interested. I want to see the sequels. I'm cautiously optimistic, but optimistic is there for sure. Bring it on. Strangers. Chapter 1. Again, I don't know fucking titles of movies and I review them. What's wrong with me? That's what it is, right? The first of the new trilogy. Yes, it's a new trilogy, people, if you somehow didn't know that. And if you haven't seen this movie, temper expectations to some degree, but, like, at least watch it if you're a fan of the other ones. I think it's worth at least that. Like, I'm lost, okay? I'm lost. Anyways, love you guys. Finally got that off my chest. I'm not attacking you if you don't like the movie. I feel like every once in a while people get on the hate train and they just go into it like, yeah, he's right. Fuck. What are they doing? And it gets out of control. And I think this one has done that. And the 14% on Rotten Tomatoes, like, really? Really? And that isn't indicative of its overall. As a whole, we give it a 14%. I mean, it is, but it's not like we all talked about it in a meeting. It just happened to add up that way. That many people didn't like it. Could have been a person's like, it was almost good, but it wasn't, rather than like, it's a travesty. So I didn't look at the reviews, but still, 14%. Goddamn. All right, I'm done here. I can't with this. Strangers. I recommend it. The new one. I say you see it, but take everything I just said into the equation, because those things will happen. No spoilers, people, obviously, but those elements of things will happen. And if that's going to bother you, then yeah, stay the fuck away from it. If you think you might be able to still enjoy it, check it out. Love you guys. Peace.